Sup, Elsie? How you doing? Good morning. Having a good day so far? I'm learning about Chris Brown and all the mischief that he has been into recently. It doesn't seem like they're having a good time at the moment. They've done a lot. Chris Brown has done a lot of things over the last. It started with Rihanna. Started with Rihanna in 2009, right? That's a pretty well known one. But then he goes and throws chairs around at a live interview. He got involved in a fight with Drake and his entourage where 8 people were injured. Chris Brown was involved in an altercation with Frank Ocean over a parking space. His probation was revoked for like a hit and run. Chris Brown was arrested for felony after punching a man outside the W Hotel in Washington, D.C. Brown and his bodyguard allegedly punched a man and broke his nose. Brown checks out of rehab and his representative shares that he would be continuing treatment for anger issues as an outpatient in Los Angeles. He just keeps getting chances. I think he just keeps getting rewarded for his success. And he continues to get chances and continues to make mistakes whilst making millions of dollars. And because he can afford the bails and stuff like that, I think he gets out. Brown was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and post-traumatic stress disorder, his rehab facility confirmed. According to documents obtained by E! News, the facility determined that the singer suffers from both ailments, which are the cause of the history of regression. Oh, so he has bipolar disorder. So that's good. I'm glad that they finally figured out what potentially was going on there. So basically, the idea at 2014 is that he's acting this way because of his mental health issues. Okay. So he then went and violated the rules and regulations of his treatment a month after that. He then, 2 months later, had another probation violation. And the judge gave him credit for nearly 8 months of time served. The credits include time the Grammy winner has spent in rehab and jail, as well as credits for good behavior while in jail. So he clearly knows how to act when he knows how he's going to get rewarded for it. But the moment he gets any freedom, he seems to fuck it up. The singer was released from jail around midnight after serving 108 days of the 131-day sentence, TMZ reported. His probation ended in 2015. He assaulted another adult male during a basketball game. Oh, an unruly individual showed up uninvited and was removed from the premises. This was not an altercation with this person. So that's cool. So he wasn't involved with that. That's good. That's nice to know that that was one time where he was not directly involved in it. The victim alleges that she was battered by Brown when she took out her cell phone to take a picture of the singer, who then proceeded to take her phone from her. According to police, the victim was escorted out of the room by private security into the hallway and proceeded to be escorted off road by hotel security. Did she get her phone back? Oh, so he left the room prior to police arrival, so he clearly understood that he'd been done something wrong. Yeah, there's a lot more. We're halfway and has already done so much. It's absolutely insane to me. I can't fathom it, man. I can't fathom how as a human being he functions. And I can, because he's wealthy and he's successful, and people typically make exceptions for wealthy and successful people. It's just how it is. Because there is the consideration of, the benefit to the person existing, right? How will their fans feel if their favorite singer gets taken away and they can't have any music anymore? Not that I feel like the only people that can really relate to Chris Brown are people who beat their wives and who, to be fair, he's a good singer. If he just wasn't so, shitty, I think would he be more successful, though? Because, it seems like he... yeah. It's just a tricky situation, because it just seems like he's kind of like one of those guys who are clearly really talented, but don't really want to deal with the consequences of when they do bad things. Although to be fair, later on, if you had someone just trying to take photos of you and you didn't want it, I kind of get that if they're doing that, they're probably brazen enough to not listen to you saying they don't want to take photos. I don't justify his behavior, but I can imagine that if you've been through a whole lot of scrutiny and you're like potentially paranoid about anyone finding bad stuff that you're doing, the last thing you need is someone taking photos and trying to sort of like narrow down on you a bit. Chris Brown was arrested on his home on suspicion of assault with a deadly weapon. According to the Los Angeles Times, model Bailey Curran said that Chris and another man became angry when she admired the man's diamond necklace. She also said that Brown threatened her with a gun. Before asking her to sign a non-disclosure agreement. Holy fucking shit. Why? That's wild, man. I'm like if that is true, because it's an allegation, right? A short time later, Brown posted a series of since-deleted Instagram photos in which he claimed his innocence. When I call the police for dangerous people that are stalking my life, they don't come till the next day, he said in one clip. Let somebody make a fucked up allegation about me and oh yeah, the whole SWAT team. I'm innocent. I'm tired of this shit. You're not innocent. You've provably been found on multiple occasions to have done similar things to this and to have hurt people and disproportionately reacted to their behavior in certain examples. Just because you're out of jail and you're off your probation, even though you violated it multiple times, doesn't mean that people will assume your innocence. You've got to prove that you're not this kind of person by never having done it at all. You know? Tampa police reported that Chris Brown sucker punched a photographer after a disagreement over some pictures. According to one of the club's partners, Chris Brown showed up for a paid appearance at the 11,000 square foot Asia Channelside Club at around 1 a.m. The club's in-house photographer attempted to take pics of the singer and his entourage when Brown's team told him to stop. The partner said the unnamed photographer alleged that when he was taking crowd shots from behind runners, the singer manned the DJ booth. The singer noticed and jumped over the couch to punch the photog in the face. And the video posted on the site, a person identified as Brown appears to throw a punch at an unseen person in a dark corner of the club. That's a bit trickier, right? That's a bit true. I don't know why my face is so red. My camera can never decide what to do. It's dependent on the t-shirt, I think, honestly. I need to just I need to figure out how to get my camera to just be the right amount of light regardless, because there's so much light coming from like the cameras up and the lights above. I feel like I'm on the set of a Hollywood movie, or like on stage or something. The partner said the unnamed photographer alleged that when he was taking crowd shots behind. Yeah, so the person, like, I think also, to be fair, right? If you know what Chris Brown is like, why are you taking risks? Like, why are you taking risks with Chris Brown? He's dangerous. If his behavior over the last decade at this point has insinuated that he's quite dangerous to deal with, and that, especially if he has diagnosed mental health issues, why would you want to potentially sort of like take the chance with that? It doesn't make sense to me to do that. Karush Tran was granted a 5-year restraining order against Brown. Holy crap, why? Who is Karush Tran? Is that a partner? Or an ex or something like that? Oh. Oh, okay. That's not good. That's not good at all. California Fish and Wildlife Agency seized Chris Brown's pet monkey from his Los Angeles home. Captain Patrick Foy said that investigators determined the singers didn't have the permit for the capuchin monkey named Fiji. Why, man? Why? Why? Poor monkey, man. Since possessing one as a pet is illegal in Brown's home state of California. So, In June, the Hammonds was the exotic dealer, was sentenced to 5 years probation and more than $90,000 in fines for violating federal wildlife laws. That's gross. Brown was accused of co-conspiring, aiding and abetting in a 2017 sexual assault that took place during a party at his house in a lawsuit filed by attorney Gloria Allred on behalf of her client, a woman who will be known as Jane Doe. According to the lawsuit, a copy which was reviewed by Billboard, Doe has attended a concert at One Oak in West Hollywood, where she was invited to attend an after-party at the recording studio where Brown and rapper Young Low, whose real name is Lowell Grissom Jr., were working. When she arrived there, her phone was allegedly taken from her because Brown did not want any phones in the studio. Even when Doe wanted to leave, she claims her phone was not returned and she was then coerced into going to Brown's house in order to retrieve a phone. While at Brown's house, the plaintiff claims alcohol and illicit drugs that she believed include cocaine, Molly, and marijuana were provided to guests. She also says Brown handed each female guest, including herself, a pill filled with white powder and instructed them to take it to have a good time. Doe did not take her pill and instead sought to isolate herself in hopes she would be left alone. That is so. If that's true, that is so. That's so whack, man. Meanwhile, according to the filing, Doe's mother, with whom she is usually in close contact, became worried because she had not heard from her daughter and used an app to track the phone's location to Brown's house. Using that information, she called the police asking they go search for her daughter. The police did show up, but Brown refused to open the gate. Brown refused the police entry to his property. That is so... Come on, man. Come on. Come on, man. The police left and the party continued while Doe James Grissom was evasive and would not return her phone. From there, things could turn for the worse. The plaintiff alleges that Brown, Grissom, a female guest referred to as Doe X, who is believed to be friends with Brown and Grissom and to have toured with them, and others planned to use drugs, alcohol, and intimidation to coerce and force unwilling female guests to perform sexual acts for defendants and others. They allegedly lured the female guests into a bedroom and then falsely imprisoned those unwilling to voluntarily engage in sexual activity by going so far as to barricade the door and then further coerce, intimidate, and sexually harass the unwilling female guests to commit sexual acts on the defendant and others. Brown, Grissom, Doe X, and other unnamed defendants were accused of sexual battery, gender violence, hate violence, assault, interference with exercise of civil rights, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and more. Holy shit. Brown's lawyer, Mark Garagos, denies the allegations in the lawsuit. There is no case here, Garagos stated during a live interview with TMZ's Harvey Levin. Chris is a target, and for the last 10 years, anyone who comes at him should know they're going to meet the full force of my form. Yeah, wow, that's very much lawyer speak, isn't it? Garagos also claimed that the claim is not currently under criminal investigation. If any of that were true, it would have been criminally investigated. What the fuck are they doing then? They're going to court. Obviously it was, and it was rejected. Chris didn't do anything. My investigation shows that none of these allegations are true. Yeah, but so is it true or not? I don't know. They haven't resolved it, have they? This guy has had like a billion chances. He's had a billion chances, right? It's just, he's had so many chances, it's reprehensible. I don't know how you in good conscience could look at this rap sheet, excuse the pun, potentially, and think that this is appropriate. Why would you, as a female, after reading through this, even like with a hint of it, right? Even if you only believed half of it, why would you, as a female fan, go anywhere near this guy? Or anyone? Because he's clearly just so dangerous. It's not generalization of whatever. It's his behavior and his history are encapsulating him almost to a point where I think he's more well known nowadays for his crimes and alleged crimes than his music. Because I don't remember the last time I listened to a Chris Brown track and even liked it outside of how I feel about the guy. Like the music Is there anything particularly special about his most recent music? The only tracks I've heard from him within the last half decade or so have been collaborations by himself. Like, again, like I kind of think that he peaked in the mid 2000s, maybe when he first came out, got off Rihanna, and then completely scuffed it. After reports surfaced that Brown had been detained in Paris on potential charges of aggravated rape and drug infractions after a woman filed a rape complaint. There's just too many of these things. And it's not like these women are necessarily suing for damages or anything like that. It's also incredibly difficult for a woman to come forward and talk about this. Incredibly difficult for someone to come, because they become a target, because I'm sure there is a percentage of Chris Brown's fan base that think that he's completely innocent, whether they are simping for him. Because I understand that there were messages sent after the Rihanna thing to Chris Brown. Women were like, yeah, you can beat me. Yeah, I don't mind if you beat me. I can take it. You know, it's messed up stuff. There's a percentage that think it's all bullshit, or that it's worth taking that in order to be with Chris Brown. He's like an unintentional cult leader. Okay, but that's good though. His rep confirmed to Billboard that Brown had been released from custody and all the charges had now been dropped. So apparently, maybe that this was a case where it was fraudulent. That's true. There is definitely the possibility that people might be doing that, for sure. And I think that would be a shame. But also, like with that said, it's tricky because, how do I say this? Chris Brown shouldn't be doing this. And people shouldn't be putting themselves in danger. And all parties involved seem to just be potentially doing stupid shit. So it's like people, like there are allowances to be made for either side. But I think fundamentally the behavior is just not very intelligent. And I think that for everyone involved in this, like if there are false allegations, or even if they are willingly put themselves at risk, I mean, you shouldn't victim blame, obviously. And I don't think these people deserved, if they did get assaulted or whatever, to have had that happen. I just cannot fathom that they wouldn't have been aware of the risk before they got involved. It's not like they're like Chris Brown has a clean record, and then suddenly this has happened, and they couldn't have known. It's like there is continued evidence that he is doing some real weird stuff. Even the allegations, the consistency of the allegations, the sexual assault, domestic stuff, the battery, etc. Even if it's been dropped and witnesses, because the lawyer firm said that come up against the full force of my firm. That the problem is that the firm could be like, yeah, okay, but if you want to take us to court, it's going to be incredibly expensive. And they can outspend a lot of these defendants potentially going through court and trying to sort this out. So for defendants, it could be worth dropping the suit simply because it could be too expensive for them to be able to do. To fight Chris Brown in court because of the amount of money he has and the lawyers he has. And that's so messed up. Charges for the alleged Tampa nightclub assault were dropped. So some of these are being dropped, though. If that's in good faith, then that's Occam's razor, right? Because assuming that Chris Brown has taken the time for the things he did wrong, and they've been dropped because there was not enough evidence for criminal proceedings, it's good that things are being dropped. An LAPD spokesperson told Billboard that officers responded to a report of a domestic argument in the 19600, which corresponds with the address the Grammy Award artist shared with his... Okay. The woman told police officers that Brown smacked the back of her head so hard, her weave came off. Okay, so there was insufficient evidence. Okay, so that there... But why is he taking people's phones? Why is he so unhappy with people taking photos? That's the issue I have, right? The issue I have is that on multiple occasions they're taking their phones. Why would... I think that, like... Wouldn't you, if you had a clean, like, record, want people to have phones and build up a positive sort of, like, public persona and stuff like that within reason, right? Clearly not video, but, like, photos, right? I don't understand why having a photo with a fan or a person taking a... Then again, I'm not Chris Brown. I don't understand. I don't know what it's like to want to have millions of people take a photo of you, right? Because you're famous. It's probably... He probably sees it the same way as paparazzi and stuff like that, you know? Among other alleged similarities, the accusers pointed to the fact that each song has featured the phrase "You got it" in the lyrical hook. In a motion to dismiss the case, attorneys for Drake and Chris Brown said the lyrical phrase was clearly too simple and commonplace to be covered by copyright law. Oh, this is an interesting one. This is an interesting one. So this is a copyright one. So Brown and Drake were slapped with a copyright infringement lawsuit over the 2019 single No Guidance, which peaked at number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100. Filed in U.S. District Court in Florida's Southern District, the complaint alleges that Brown, Drake, and their various collaborators on the track, which was featured on Brown's 2019 album Indigo and featured Drake, lifted various lyrical and melodic elements from I Love Your Dress, the 2016 song performed by plaintiff Brandon Cooper, performing as Mr. Cooper, and produced by Clopain Timothy Valentine, credited on the track as drumming skills. Among other alleged similarities, the accusers pointed to the fact that each song featured the phrase "You got it" in a lyrical hook. That's tough. You can't really copyright words, right? You can't really copyright words. It has to be several different things with copyright. You need to not only have the words, but also the sung melody for it. You need to have a similar chord progression behind it. And then you need to have similar instrumentation. If you have those things, it's far more likely that you're doing a cover than you're making an original, right? Which would then be an issue, because if they're trying to make it their own song, that's going to be a copyright issue. But if it's just the words, it's trickier because, why would that be an issue? Brown and several members of his entourage, along with Brown's 11/11 tour promoter Live Nation, are... Oh, hang on. The case was later dropped in Twisted 2022. So that's cool. So now... It's good. He hasn't been up to any silly mischief over the last few years. I guess COVID potentially sobered him a little bit. Brown and several members of his entourage, along with Brown's 11/11 tour promoter Live Nation, are facing a lawsuit over an alleged assault that took place at Brown's concert in Fort Worth, Texas. Sup, RC? How you doing? Welcome to the live stream. We're learning about Chris Brown today. We're meant to do paid reviews, which is fine, but I also think it's kind of a dick move to be like, oh, we're only going to sit here, doing nothing for an hour unless I'm paid, right? So we're talking about Chris Brown. It's on Billboard. RC, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Chris Brown's been up to a lot of mischief over the last, 15 years. It's not just Rihanna. It's a lot. There is a lot of crazy stuff that's occurred, man. I'm going to send this in the Discord, right? Can I go over to the other one? I just want to go over here to the Discord. Chris Brown is a naughty lad. There you go. There we go. So I've shared it in the Discord if you want to read through this article. He's a naughty lad. Chris Brown has been a very naughty boy. Being famous and having a checkered past equals plenty of people targeting your weakness, so his life will never be peaceful to the days. Yeah, that's fair. So, for Chris Brown, he could turn a new leaf and he could, I don't know if he's a father. I feel like a lot of people who do really stupid shit in their 20s, they kind of sober up a bit when they become a dad, because then they have their own daughter and they go, oh, maybe I shouldn't be beating women because I would hate it if someone bit my daughter, right? Or to be fair, you could then be like, nah, my daughter's the one and only princess and I'll beat the shit out of her. I'm not a parent, so I don't know what it's like to be a dad, but I can only imagine that, if I was beating women, because I don't, Chris Brown is a mess outside. That's a lot of why people typically try and separate the artist from the music, the person from the music. You look at people like Axl Rose, phenomenal vocalist, absolute. I read Slash's biography. I read about Axl, and I know he's complicated, but in my opinion, Axl Rose throughout the 80s and 90s often acted like a bit of a dick. And the way that Guns N' Roses initially split up with the Chinese democracy thing and everything like that it kind of sucked. It was a bit shit. You know, you look at Kurt Cobain, phenomenal musician, but the guy was a tortured soul and he just went through so much. Kurt Cobain really struggled. He just had a really hard time with stuff. You know, it's not that he hurt people necessarily, but he was hurting himself. Although, to be fair, I don't know enough about his position to really talk about it. I've read things about it. Like, I think I read his autobiography as well at some point. But yeah, no, really tough time. Cool guy, but just really tortured soul. And Chris Brown, like, I think what he is most well known for is beating women outside, like beating up people outside of like, I don't know, RC and Blue Dinner Box. And Jay's Music, sup? Hello, Blue Dinner Box and RC Weber and Jay's Music. Hopefully you guys are good. I'm just sort of addressing everyone. I don't like the fact that there were allegations of taking cell phones. This part here, on May 2019, to me was especially egregious. That's the worst one, where they talk about going back to his house and having cocaine and stuff like that, and Molly and all that, and then like people locked in a room and all that, not to be able to get away from it. Yeah, feel free to read the article if you want to learn more. But RC, I also feel you on that. I wasn't particularly interested in Chris Brown outside of that. However, with that said, I'm kind of glad I learned more because it makes me feel better about not having spent a lot of time with him. You'd really, while a lot of the allegations were dropped, there's just too much smoke for it to not be suspicious inherently, right? There. You guys having a good day today? What else is in the news? No, I don't want that. No, Spotify. Recent price increases didn't result in a mass. Oh, guys, we made a mistake. We made an oopsie. We didn't quit when they raised the prices. Taking cell phones and signing NDAs seems to be common practice with these celebs. Yeah, I get that. I get that because you could potentially like have something out of context. That just needs to be that, doesn't it? Yeah. I get it from like the perspective of course you could hear a celebrity say something to you and it could be taken out of context. The celebrity could be drunk or they could be stoned and they could just do some really silly stuff. And if you were to make a small mistake, often it can be made out to be huge depending on how it's manipulated. Videos can be deep faked. There are a whole lot of ways that you can change the way that your media works in order to make it fit a certain narrative. But yeah, I get it. But like the thing with a photo, surely you could just like Epstein isn't around anymore. You don't need to be worried about people taking photos of you, right? Unless you're doing something inherently suspicious. And the fact that Chris didn't want a photo at all. But the fact that allegedly he didn't want the girl to leave is weird to me. Surely, you know, worst case, you were trying to do something horrific. You would just let that person leave before you tried to lock them in a room and do even worse stuff, right? I don't even know if I'm allowed to talk about this on YouTube, but I am because why not, you know? It's not like I'm going into the actual details of it. It's like a publicly accessible thing. I'm not adding more sort of like spin to it. But we've been naughty. Spotify is signaling more price increases in the future. Recent price increases didn't result in a mass exodus of subscribers. Podcasts, audiobooks, and new features keep people listening. So we've made the mistake of paying the extra amount. Don't be surprised if Spotify decides to further raise prices on its premium subscription plans. But I know that it's problematic. I know. The problem is that like $10 a month like seems like such a little amount. When like, for example, I'm personally needing to make like, I don't know, like 120K. Like I need to find an extra $3,000 a month, right? To be able to get a house next year. It's not that I can't put a deposit down, but you need that extra 3K of income per month on top of what I'm earning to be able to, for the bank to be like, yeah, no, you could do it. So for me, like, this doesn't seem particularly intense, but I can also imagine for people who are like students or people who are, they're just trying to get by, this is brutal. Part of it is that there'll always be the argument that, like, we had CDs and you bought a CD and it was like, in New Zealand, because the prices are scuffed, New Zealand has like CDs for like 15, 20 bucks. So you bought an album for 20 bucks and you got that one album. There will always be the argument that Spotify is cheaper than having those albums, even if you don't own everything, because the amount of utility you get from the streaming service is so much more because of that. It's just we're in this moment where it's just ticking over to the point where Spotify is probably getting they're going to keep raising the prices till they make a profit. So for years, you've probably been hearing that companies like Spotify have been making a loss. That's by design. That's by design. First of all, it doesn't benefit them to make a profit because then they have to pay tax on it. So they're probably never going to try and make a massive profit. They're always going to try and find ways to divert it, but what they're going to do is continue to raise until they make a profit, and then they're going to find other ways to sort of weasel their way around that. So if they're not making a profit, they're going to keep raising until they make a profit. And that's fundamentals in business. It's just that it's annoying because there are constant increases. And the problem is that, again, because CDs are so, like, a single CD is worth more than like the entirety of millions and billions of tracks on Spotify for people. And honestly, because CD prices are probably increased because CDs are less common now, they're more of vinyl is like $50, $60, $70. That's if you don't get like a box set. I've seen box sets for $400 or $500, and you get, let's just say generously, you get 10 vinyl and a box set. You have 10 albums. You've spent 30 times more than being able to access it on a slightly lower quality. I mean, you have it, but then of course, it's kind of like when you get a house. Because if you get a house, you might be thinking, wow, I can sell this house for more than I bought it. You don't know that. A lot of people in New Zealand treat houses as investments. But they're not necessarily, because, like, if you get a house, you don't know what the housing market is going to do over the next 15, 20 years. You can assume that it'll get more expensive, but that's only dependent. To be honest, in New Zealand, because they're trying to take more and more land and building. Like, how do I try it? I think I'm going on a tangent. I don't want to go into too much because you guys are talking as well. I want to talk about what you guys are discussing, but Te Ao basically, I agree with what Elsie's saying. Can't blame Spotify, blame the customers. If there's no drop off in customers after price increase, then it tells them they can keep increasing. We can only vote with our wallets. Exactly. And the issue is that Spotify is inherently convenient. And the number one thing for human beings is convenience. It's convenience. It's what makes us feel good. It's what's easy for us. It's what makes becoming an adult, becoming independent, moving out of home, having to take on all the responsibility by yourself. It's what makes it so difficult, because you have to learn things like I've been watching the Caleb Hammer YouTube channel. I'd recommend you check it out if you haven't already. He helps people figure out money stuff. And there's stuff I've learned from it as well. You have to learn to you have to put your money away and be sensible about it and stuff like that. I feel but that's the thing, like, people will often make purchases because it's convenient for them to do so, and it makes them feel good. And you can't argue with that, really. What can you do? You can't go backwards, because if you have to make the utility of buying a CD or a vinyl more than having access to the entirety of a digital streaming platform. The only way you would justify spending money is to, if all the money went to the artist, and often they don't because they go through major labels. If the artist is independent, you don't go through Apple or Spotify, you go through Bandcamp or whatever, and they get all the money. You go through Patreon, you go through a place where you deliberately give them all your money and you donate to them like that. I would assume that would probably be the way you do it, where you would have your music, because that's why DistroKid exists, where you just upload your music and it just goes everywhere on all the digital streaming platforms there. Like, if you get below 1,000 listens, you're not getting paid by Spotify anyways, as I understand it. But typically the strategy, I suppose, would be to distribute music you've made there, but kind of find a way to be someone that people would want to pay to support, with the understanding that, like, if they paid money, that would help you to make music that they got benefit from. So it's like it's a positive feedback loop where, you know, as I'm sure you guys can imagine, you pay the musician money, they make music that you enjoy. And then, like, for example, you know, that would be the most direct way of doing it. Ironically, technology has allowed us to be far more efficient with the way we give money to people, because back 20 years ago, back 10 years ago, even, like, there was MySpace and stuff, but 20 years ago especially, you had labels and you had indies, but it was far more difficult to actually directly fund musicians outside of gigs. But definitely, vote with our wallets. Buying music on iTunes is not a bad option even today. For real. And I understand that the codecs and bit rates and stuff like that on Apple Music are quite good as well. I think that, to be fair, most people use Bluetooth headphones, so a lot of people are rolling with a 44.1, 48 kilohertz, maybe 24-bit connection anyways, and 44.1, 16 is still the mastering standard. So, like, you'll find that, like, even if you get a high quality track, you might not necessarily get as much direct benefit as you might think you would from paying a premium on it. Like, it can feel like a premium experience, but how do I describe it? I feel like if you, like, as an audio engineer, I understand that, like, bigger number is good, but, like, it's just the massive file sizes wouldn't really make good sense for streaming anyways. It's why Spotify and all those others transfer at 48 kilohertz to 16, or, you know, SoundCloud is 48 16-bit for mastering. Spotify and stuff like that is 44.1. I know Tidal's like 9624, but even 9624 is absolutely massive. Like, that's a massive file size. So you also need to have the thing. So, like, 9624 doesn't matter if your phone can't put out 9624. Did you know what I mean? So, like, if you've got a 9624 bitrate track, it's then going to not be put out at 9624 unless you have an audio file system. Even if you get Tidal, you're still only going to get 44.1 16, because that's what the secondary output is, if that makes sense. I'm going on a tangent, but yeah, definitely it's a good option if you want to support artists and pay for their tracks. That's good. I'm glad that Apple allow that. RC says, saw a documentary file of Amy Winehouse, which was sad. Yeah, it is. Amy went through some real stuff. Amy had a terrible time. It was brutal. I feel incredibly bad for Amy. It's again, like, from what little I know, to be fair, I haven't watched the movie, but just to pass away so young is awful, and with such incredible talent. It was a very distinct voice as well. Basically, if we'd had somehow managed to get past what Amy was going through, I think that they would have had a career. They would have done incredibly well today. They would have been I think that Amy Winehouse, in a way, is potentially timeless, because I don't think there would have been a part of the music history of, like, the 21st century where she wouldn't have fit in some way or form. I think she would have been, like, a sobering contrast to some of the quirkiness that's going on with pop today. I think she would have been taken a lot more seriously than, like, a lot of the people who are trying to sort of, like, faux seriousness and stuff like that. I mean, even though, like, I understand that I'd rather listen to her. Yeah, it's just what it is, though. Today's music is not really worth the pay to listen to. See, that sounds like a hot take, right? Today's music is not really worthy to pay to listen to. It sounds like a hot take, but the issue is that it's kind of not. You're feeling like a person's feeling on whether it's worth paying is only it's like it's valid because if you if you don't hmm, there is enough music. There is enough music. There is enough of it. We don't need more. We genuinely do not need music. We don't need more music. There it's superfluous. Anything that is not either going in a new creative direction, right? Or that does not revolutionize the genre, or that does not slap, is superfluous. I think I released the video a little while back, and but it was like talking about how like you need to be different in order to have a chance, and it's because in this big mishmash of just saturation to the extreme, because everyone wants to be a successful musician, right? And no shade, right? It's like a personality contest, and that's not me being a bitter fuck about it. It's like just what it is. Like you have to be likable, and you have to have, and you actually also have to have a need for it. So, like for example, if you know a person is set up and they're good for the rest of their life and stuff like that, you might not be as eager to help fund their projects as a person who like literally needs the help, like someone who's in like a part of the world where they just do not have access to those resources unless people assist them with it. People who might actually be able to make more music if you get them to that next point. That I feel if they make great enough demos that you'd want to sort of like fund, then I think that there it's a situation where we can justify being able to give them extra money for that. But most musician most musicians aren't different enough to succeed. The problem is that the most music released nowadays is good. I Part of me has always felt kind of self-conscious when I give song ratings, right? Because I try and do that. It's always like a 7. It's always like a 7 or like maybe a 6.5 if there's like one thing that's just not good. But most music released commercially, at least for me, like the lowest is like a 6.5 out of 10, and the highest is like I think I gave like a 9 to a couple of tracks in the past. And the reason that I gave the nines is because for me, there were just so many incredible things that I was blown away by it. Typically, those ratings will come from just like effervescently, inescapably incredible stuff that's being done by the musicians involved. That to me is transcendent. And so I will give that an 8 or a 9. 10 is something could never have imagined being that is that good. And I just don't necessarily think that most music released nowadays is that. I think that there's this weird situation where people are trying to balance what they like that needs to be authentic as a musician with what is going to work in the industry, and that's the mistake, right? You kind of got to niche yourself. You got to kind of pick a lane and stay in it, because if you grow a fan base by accidentally popping off with a track you're not passionate about, you got to be ready to commit to that, because that's what people want. You find that secret formula by sort of like messing around and just not really being focused. If you stumble across something that people like, they'll expect more of that. And that is tricky, because the only way you can avoid that is by being so good that it doesn't matter what you do, people will like it. You could potentially get around it by trying to have like maybe one kind of different track, or like like if you're doing like really heavy stuff, you have like an acoustic section, for example. Um, you have like typically like acoustic stuff. You might try a bit more sort of like spicy about it, but it's very difficult to be different on purpose and then maintain that because of the saturation industry. The creation of pleasing melodies on the staff has already reached saturation. It has. It just has. Like, people have got it down to an art. Like, there's like... I'm going to go over to the piano for a bit. I don't know if you guys will be able to hear this. Get my guitar real quick. So, there's this chord progression of music. There's a chord progression of music. Right? I don't know if you guys can hear this. I feel like I'm going to do an acoustic set. That's a C chord. That there, right? C, and then G, and then A, and then F. That's the 1, 5, 6, 4. And the reason that's the 1, 5, 6, 4 is because when you have a C, that's like the first chord. That's the first chord, right? Let's just pretend that C is 1. D is 2, E is 3, F is 4, because you're just counting through the alphabet, and then G is 5. So you got C, and then G would be the 5th, and then the 6th would be A, because you go G back to A, because the musical alphabet is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, ad infinitum, and then the 4th is an F. And so that chord progression is just been done to death. It is just absolutely just... Oh, I can't stand it. When I can. The trick to being able to, like, do that in, like, the modern era, it's being able to do it in a way that people can't tell it's being done. Because it's just so overdone. Like, if we were to go to the 1, 5, 6, 4 progression song list, right? 1, 5, 6, 4 progression. There are so many bands, so many songs that use the same chord progression that are famous. So many songs. It's silly. It's just wild. I can't stand it. But then I can because it works. All right. However, before I go on to good morning, Shinyidar. We have had a song request today. That is, we have had no song requests today because I think we've been chatting about Chris Brown and chord progressions. Yeah, Blue Dinner Box. They'll know the unique best one stay in history for sure. We've got one song in the queue. Hi, Shinya. As the first hour of this live stream has passed, we'll be ending the stream once the queue gets to 0. The singer's chit chat in the foreground makes the film over 5 minutes long. That's okay. So we're gonna listen through this song, and then yeah, it's good to have had a song request today. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks for your request. I wonder what song this will be. Hang on, it's this one, right? Masayuki Suzuki, Daddy, I first take. Oh, okay. So just so we're aware, right? Typically, no, we're doing, it's fine. The live stream started an hour ago. No, we're doing this track, it's fine. Yeah, no, don't worry, we're still doing the track. It's just that the live stream, I typically go for an hour, And then like if there's nothing to we finish up, the queue's empty, we finish up after that. But okay.
さあ今日はねこのファーストテイクバージョンとして
But this should be good. So yeah, just in case, this is Shinyida's request for today. This is Masayuki Suzuki, Daddy Daddy Do featuring Airi Suzuki, the first take.
レコーディングメンバー集めましたからね。
豪華ですね。
もうみんなもうこう一発撮りに命をかけて
はい。
いますけども。
命かけますか。
命かけますか。
私も命をかけますか。
もうなんかこの一発撮りっていうのが結構。
I like the charisma between the musicians involved. They're very fun to listen to.
ご一緒に歌わせてもらうの私初めて。
実はフル初めてなんだよ。
そうなんです。レコーディングも別々でやってたじゃないですか。それが一番緊張します。
ちょっと今日は楽しみだよね。
そうですね。
めちゃめちゃみんなに楽しんでもらえたらいいなと思うんで、
はい、じ
ゃあメンバーたちもよろしいでしょうか。暗黙の感じですが、さあじゃあ行ってみましょうか。はい。
Immediately.
あなたのすべてが愛にだからキラキラ燃えてしまいたい。
See, they're clearly performers. They've got such charisma when they move. You look at them and you don't want to take your eyes off of them. They're great singers, clear, so like in the mix, and everyone else is playing along in time.
Sa 一度踏み出せば戻れなくて仮面は脱ぎ捨てていけない言葉で遊びがマジになるダディダディドゥ欲しいなさあなたのすべてが騙されたらそれでもいいもっと震わせて見せてくれ僕だけに笑顔の裏まで愛にだからキラキラ燃えてしまいたい
Oh, those moves, man. They're fantastic.
躊躇などしないのの二度と会えない人だから後悔にくれるのなら恋の日に焼かれたいわざとでしょ流し目が愛しさを刺激するそっと振り返る美しさに心は掴まれて
That there, I liked that ride bell groove. You know the ding ding ding? It's when you hit the ride symbol, but in the middle of it with that little kind of like that bit there. Do you see that little lumpy bit? It's like this chimey sound, and it's a great way of adjusting the ride tone in the middle of a section. What's up, Paul? How you doing?
世界触れて
Oh, that major lift at the end was fantastic, dude.
たりたてと最後まであなたに委ねて壊れるならそれでもいいもっと狂わせて見せてくれ僕だけに心の奥まで愛にだからキラキラ燃えたい命張ってる夜明けまで
That was joyful. That was full of joy. I know we went slightly over 5 minutes. I will. I know we don't have 5 minutes. We have got another song in the queue as well from Shinyuda, I think, as well. I adored that to pieces. I thought that was a tremendous track. I think it was about romance and love and kind of being wary of something, going from like something casual to serious. It was about like the feelings of love and the expressions to each other and all that. And I'd kind of, honestly, like I was more encapsulated by the singers and what they were doing and how they were singing. There was such an innate charisma and energy to the performance of this, of both musicians involved, both Airi Suzuki and Masayuki Suzuki. Would Airi be the daughter or the wife? Am I fudging that? Something terrible? I'm not sure. But either way, I think they were tremendous singers. The guy leading the verses and everything like that goes effortlessly between like chest voice and falsetto and stuff like that. Airi in the choruses is wonderfully harmonized in the pop and has a great power to her, the way that she sings there. It's great. It's phenomenal technique. The mixture of different sort of guitar, bass, drum, key, sort of shaky kind of hand drawing parts as well in the track is wonderful. Like there's such a great arrangement of different textures and tones in different parts of the frequency spectrum in the stereo field that the music both surrounds you from a post-production perspective and is also just really fantastic to listen to just by virtue of itself. Like the bass parts were funky and worked well with the root notes and split octaves and occasionally slowly moved around the parts and had a great sense of unison with the drum parts. The drum parts were wonderfully phrased there. We had a lot of sort of interesting expressions of the chords 8ths and 16ths. And had a funkiness to the overall place there with the wonderful sort of like movements between like the rides and stuff like that and hi-hats. We knew exactly where we needed to be at each time. I think that in addition to that, the what was going on with the guitar parts there, we had a great sort of funkiness, some of those bar chords and some of those dominant sevenths as well. There, it was great to listen through those and appreciate it. The keys there were more sort of like a sprinkle with some of the like glissando stuff going down or up the keys there, working alongside elements like the beltry and was a great sort of mid to upper range resonance there, working alongside some of those extended chords in the progression as well as highlighting the melodies and leads. And the shakers as well provided a nice sense of like lower key dynamic range there with the pace there, and it was good. The theme overall with the track that had verses and choruses more sort of like contemporarily structured was fantastic. It was very smooth to go through, made the most of its 5 minutes there. The way it was very satisfying, and it was just great energy all around with a phenomenal chemistry with the musicians involved. The studio recording, mixing, and mastering was tight there. We were clearly professional grade there. The vocals, guitar, bass, drums, keys, shakers, and beltry, and everything like that were lovingly recorded and produced, and nothing but love for it. I think they have something really special here, and I hope they continue to make more music like this, and I would be keen to hear more from my Sayuki Suzuki in future, so if you guys do send more through, I'd be happy to hear it. But yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Shinyuda, for that. We have got another track now to do for Shinyuda. And good job, RC. His sunglasses as well, RC, are pretty dope. I do like his sunglasses as well. Blue Dinner Box, after these years, I still fail to be impressed by the song. I feel like I've heard it for the first time, but I'd like to hear it again. I wouldn't mind that. It's a theme song for a romantic comedy anime. Doesn't surprise me. That's dope. That's cool. So the next track that we have is, because we've got 3 in the queue now. We got 2 now, though, to be fair. Is from Shenida. And it's yellow. Hang on. Oh, it's this one, right? Oh, I've got it, because I've got to... Oh, right, now I've got to do this, right? Here we go. So going back here, I'm just still getting used to, like, doing this. And then that one there goes here. No, Elvin, I've been to Japan. The reason that I didn't do live streams for 2 weeks was because I was in Japan. But thank you for asking. I had a phenomenal time in Japan. Really great stuff. Really great time. Quest. Okay. So we got a track from Billy Billy next. So I'm assuming that will work. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Here we go. So I'm not sure what this is. We will find out. I'm going to put that into DeepL. They kind of figured out, but we'll play through. So this is, again, Shinida's second pick for today. Catchy track. I can't believe that this is a Japanese idol group. I'm phenomenally impressed with the musicianship and the kind of balls to be able to do this. I haven't heard many idol groups try music like this, but I think they're a slam shade as if one of them played a guitar solo. And it's not because I think that they need to play a guitar solo in order for this to be a good song. It's more that it'd just be a real sick icing on the cake if one of them just did a shred about this. This is what's kind of cool, is that they're cutting the final quadrant of the 4. That's 3, and usually you have an extra part to resolve, but they go into the loop. Enjoyed that. I liked the energy within that. Thanks to this Shinida for their second request here, as well as for their first for the first track. So just quickly, the things I liked about the song, I'm not sure what the song's about. But the vocal performance was incredibly energetic, and it had a kind of like an alt rock kind of edginess, which I think suited the rest of the track really well. We had interesting sort of unison harmonies there where we were working with like trying to keep in time with each other. We didn't try to color the mix too much with the extra musicians, which I think was kind of probably a smart idea, because if we had been too complicated with our vocal harmonies, it might have been a bit too much for the rest of the parts of the arrangement where there was a lot of color within the guitar, bass, and drum parts as well. So I think that they showed great vocal technique, and the expression was appropriate for the song, and I'm very happy with it. I think that the way that we wrote the song at 4.5 minutes it was reasonable. It was over that 2 to 4 minute sweet spot, but not towards the thing where it was it was a lesser experience because they had so much cool stuff going on within it. I can see a sort of a formula in the sense that we had like the bridge chorus kind of part there. We had a solo in there that was kind of dope as well. That was a nice sort of palette cleanser there. Even though it was a similar intensity for most of it, it was nice to have a different alternate lead melody, which is something I practically beg for in a lot of the music that I listen to. I beg for an alternate lead, even if they're a fantastic singer, just for a bit of change and a bit of sort of variety. Just to keep the whole 4.5 minutes is like fantastic, right? I think that the guitar parts were wonderfully intricate there, fairly catchy rhythm riff there with the power chords and everything like that, when the sort of string kit parts with the higher lead harmonies there being wonderful, sort of bit on top there, sort of neoclassical, neo-melodic, and the solo was wonderfully phrased with sort of pentatonic and bluesy patterns. The bass parts there were fantastically in time with everything, were really low to the root notes. The drum parts were great as well. They were nice and edgy, and there was a great sort of sense of gallop to keep up with the pace there. It was a really competent percussive performance with absolutely no filler in there, and we had great sort of transitions with the fills and all that as well, which is very satisfying. I think that that was it. The instrument performance overall was top tier. It was professional grade. The theme had a lot of sort of like tension and kind of like angst to it, which suited the vocal performance very well there. The metallic kind of textures and the way the tones of the guitars and everything like that insinuated that we were going through some struggle or some hardship, or something we're trying to overcome, which I think was evident within the minor phrasing, the minor focus of it. Maybe even some Phrygian modes occasionally there, but we had a lot. We didn't get too sort of like sort of dark and murky with it, which I think allowed to remain catchy and kind of anthemic. So we had a nice sort of balance of different ingredients within this composition that, with the instrumental performances and the vocals coupled together, were very compelling and cool to listen to. I think it was a great, really well written track. The studio recording, mixing, and mastering, I think this is a re-upload, so the dynamic range is a bit less than usual, but still it was very wonderful. It's still wonderfully done. It's commercial grade. The balancing in general was good. The leveling was solid without any resonant frequencies. The sides as well, music surrounded you in the headphones there in a way that was nice and sort of like consistent. It was nice to level that pump because the bus compression limiting was handled really well, and I enjoyed this track. So thanks again to Shin Yuda for their choice. We have more to do though. We have more requests to do though after these two from Shin Yuda, which I appreciate. I thought this was going to be a very quiet stream today. Shin Yuda's first request came in at 12:59. And I would have ended the live stream at 1 if we hadn't had that request, because the first hour we hang out, we chill, we chat. That's fine. But I usually then only end the stream if there's no more requests after the first hour. So until that's all good though, we've got 3 more to go. What else do we have? So that one's done. That's cool. We have the next track from RC. Good job, RC. I think you mentioned that you mentioned before that you were wanting to get a track, but you had some credit card issues or something like that. There's an issue with the Ko-fi processing. So I'm glad that we have. This is from RC. So I'm just going to get this sorted for you. RC, thanks for your request. Okay, and this is Papa, and the song is Little Sun Blues Pills. So let's do it. Let's do this. Track number 3 for today. Oh, this is a very different song, isn't it? Thank you, RC, for your request as well. Oh, she got pipes.
From your eyes, tears are falling. The other side is calling. Oh, I'm the one who's left alone. And I still remember when you told me you would never leave me on my own. Oh, where are the ones I used to know?
Oh, fantastic. See, that's a great time to include a lead after that verse there. They're aware, or maybe that is a chorus. But it's just great to switch things up with a lead line after a part so it keeps things fresh, especially in a 4.5 minute track. And he can play.
The mountains falling all around me. The deep blue ocean overflows. The ground is shaking underneath me. In this spinning world without control. Although it's hard.
It kind of sounds like a slide guitar, even though it's not. Like, clearly it's not. But there's like a kind of a wah kind of tone to it, which is kind of intriguing. Like a phaser or a flanger or something like that.
Time passing by, just to watch it go. Don't you know I need you lying? Don't you know I need you so? Darkness comes around as the way you have to go. Oh, remember what you said. Oh, the promise that you made in the corners of my mind. The darkness hides. Don't you know I need your light? Don't you know I need you so? Trying to understand, but I am in a haze. You're not alone. I will always stay.
You're not alone, I will always say. Because I don't think I mentioned the name of this song before I got into it. This is Blue Pills and their track Little Sun. So this is because this is RC's pick. What do I think of this track? I think that the song is honestly, it's about being there for someone and watching the other person go through stuff and being wary of when the darkness comes, letting them know you'll be there for them, that you can't be without them, and that you will support them through it. I think it's maybe about like depression, mental health issues, or it's like just trying to get through life itself with that other person, you know, that time doesn't pass. Like, is that it? Am I completely off? That was my first sort of understanding or impression of it anyways. I could have gotten it completely wrong. But I mean, either way, phenomenal singer, powerful pipes. When we belted it, it was huge. We just went whoosh. The intensity was just wild, man. It was massive. And what I appreciate about that is that there's just such dynamic range to it. It's more compelling when you don't have the same loudness the entire time. It helps to develop a track and bring it up forward, and it shows how they're feeling in a raw, guttural way that is very authentic. We clearly have solid vocal technique. We harmonize really neatly with the guitar backing there, and the track was effectively the singer playing their guitar, and as well as the other sort of like rhythm lead guitarist there that went between sort of chord strum parts as an accompaniment to the singer, whilst also alternate between that and their kind of lead bluesy sort of country blues pentatonic phrasings with some unison bends. Slightly different tones throughout the track. I think the last sort of solo-y part there had a bit of a flanger or phaser or something a bit different on it that sort of made it a bit more kind of misty or cloudy, but either way, I think ultimately it was a well-written track there that had a lot of love put into it and was very important for the musicians involved. It was a somber experience there. The chords, the open chord progressions and stuff like that were very much, they were somber, they sounded sad. There wasn't a lot of joy within it. The vocal fry suggested there was a pain or intense kind of like section that they were going through. And ultimately, I think it was well fleshed out. There was enough to keep us going throughout the 4.5 minutes, no filler. The recording itself, just the way that belt was captured in a way that didn't sort of distort at digitally, like they had the gain staging so well done. It was a very organic performance there. They didn't oversaturate or overproduce it. The leveling was tight. And, there's dynamic range, which was great. Things came down occasionally, but it was still nice and low without pumping. You know, it's well handled all round. This is the first time I think I've listened to Blue Pills, but thank you to RC for their request today. I had a great time with it. It's very impressive. Very impressive song. Good effort on their part. Yeah. That was awesome. That was really good. A very different vibe. Nice vibe change, RC, from Alvin. Absolutely, it is a different vibe change. But I think that can be good, right? Because if you have too much of the same, it can be like, hey, it can be a little bit like, well, you guys have diverse music tastes anyways. But this next pick is from Paul. It's Paul's pick today. So I'm going to go to Paul. You're welcome, RC. It's all good, man. Thank you for requesting it. You know, again, I don't really listen to songs outside of these reviews as much as I'd want to. So it's good to be able to do this when I can, you know. It's not something that everyone gets to do, and I'm privileged to be able to do it. But this track is from Paul 7931. And it is titled, I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure how to say that, if I'm honest. That is tricky for me. How would you say it? Wapva. Dapva. But this is the song anyways here. Arisen Society, a very good band. Completely different vibe, check again though. Very different vibe. Just the foley with the gunshots and explosions and the bells and stuff like that is innately intriguing, right? And those string flutters, dude. And the choir vocals and top, man, are tight. So it's kind of like theatrical or operatic metal there with the growls and stuff like that. It's very, I haven't listened to a lot of metal like this, but I like the fact that there's a first time for everything, right? I mean, I've listened to them before, but you know what I mean. I did a review of them recently. Just to comment on what Alvin K has mentioned, yeah, I think you're right. What I can probably do is I can like schedule two. Like, so I can schedule the next one and then the one after. That way people know the dates for the next two live streams so that they know that if I can't make the one, that first one, they can make the second. So thank you for that feedback. I appreciate it. Now that's a very easy change I can do. double time? And that little plane follow there on the sides as well. It's just the sound design in this is fantastic for like the military gunshots and the bells initially. And we just finish on the keys. Man, that was amazing. That song from Paul7931, thanks for the request, is titled Dava. I'm going to go with that. Please let me know if I'm incorrect. I'm not sure how to read Cyrillic, but let's talk about the song from Urizen Society. This is probably one of the most unique pieces of music I've heard in quite a while because you start off with, again, just the gunshots and the foley at the beginning with the bells and stuff. It's incredibly cinematic to begin with. But then you have like this, I'm not sure what they were singing about. I don't understand the language, but I just the mixture of like the growled kind of spoken, kind of post-hardcore, kind of metal vocals, a bit of black metal in there, combined with the choirs and stuff like that and some other parts there. It's very sort of, it's a wonderful combination there. You've got the softness of the choirs with the harsh sort of intensity of those other parts. They contrast so neatly between parts, and it's incredibly swift with the transfers. But there's also pauses and moments of quietness there where you're not sure what's going to happen next. So it's constantly keeping the listener on their toes. Fantastic vocal technique from everyone involved. You know, it's very difficult to get that kind of stuff there, that kind of growl there, done in a way that is done healthily. But they managed to pull it off. I know I've got to change my camera battery, and that's going to be an interesting experience, but we're going to do that in a moment. I think that the outside of the vocals there, the track itself with the mixture of different, you know, again, the foley outside of that, your guitars, bass, drums, and strings, and some bells and stuff like that. If I talk about those instruments individually, the guitars were the mixture of different sort of like rhythm riffs, the kind of tremolo picked parts there, the power chords, with also some sort of lead stuffs occasionally with octave chords. A wonderful arrangement of different guitar ideas in there and riffs which go effortlessly through each other. Same with the bass line, sort of revolving, working very neatly around what's going on with like strings or the guitar parts there, greatly in sync with the drum parts as well. We understand how to keep maintaining a sense of groove regardless of whether going half time or normal time or double time. The strings were a wonderful sort of like bit of tension and sort of like they matched the theatrical element there and added a sense of sort of like gravity and almost regality to it, like now kind of a mythological kind of tone to it. Like it did seem sort of like otherworldly a little bit, a grace, sophistication to it, and that was nice in the mid to highs, as well as the drums that were just incredibly sort of like they were really well played. We had a great mixture of different double kick patterns as well as a further exploration of like the snares, toms, and the cymbal grooves. I think that we played to the part that we were doing. We had individual concerts per part for the drums, and throughout it was just really, really fascinating. They did a great job of exploring things in a way which kept things compelling from start to finish. The track overall was more through composed there. We didn't go back to chorus verse sections like traditional written songs, but I think that was done well because there was no filler in there. There was nothing that felt unnecessarily or overly sort of like repeated. The theme overall, I'm not sure what it was about, but it kind of sounded like we were just talking about the destruction of a war site gathering by the Follies, as well as what was going on with the tone, the tone, the anger and frustration and fury of the guitar, bass, and drum parts, as well as the choir kind of bemoaning or mourning it. And yeah, I think that the chord choices there with some of the melodic kind of minor and minor phrasings there worked well with the intensity of drums. That theme made sense. The studio recording, mixing, and mastering was tight. Things were nicely leveled in the frequency spectrum as well as in the stereo field. The leveling of the mix stuff in the mix as well was great. It was commercial grade. The Foley mixed in there seemed very natural as well. Dynamic range to it. Things weren't the same loudness all the time. Nice and loud without pumping. Great song. Professional grade. Thank you very much to Paul for your request. I appreciate it. Great song. If you are not familiar with Arisen Society's work, I'd recommend checking out more of the stuff if you enjoyed this track. Change my camera battery, and we're gonna do the next track. It's is that if I do this, right? Probably not good to do that to my camera, but we are doing it, so that's fine. Okay. Okay. All right. Doki. We got one more track today. I think. No, okay. Closing. For today. How many have I got to do? Because this I've only got time to do 2 more. Let's check this out. Yeah, cool. Alvin and songs will be the last 2 for today. So I'm going to close the commissions now, just because I have other work I need to do after this live stream. Though I am appreciative again to Paul and for everyone else for your requests so far. I was expecting this to be a very quiet day today. It's gotten busier in the second hour. So as Alvin mentioned, I need to sort of sort these in advance so that you guys know. So we're going to do that. So this is Alvin's. This second to last one for today. Alvin, thanks for your request. I appreciate that. And the track we have this is an adaptation of Mozart, which should be cool. That's cool. So we're going to be listening to some Mozart now. So that's exciting. And we've got an ad. So if you've never seen New Zealand ads, that's what they look like. Yeah. Oh. I'm playing Rondo alla Turca for piano and drums. Okay, what do we got, Alvin? Oh, it's Nyango Star. Hell yeah, man. This is what we're talking about. See, what he's doing there with his left hand on the piano is playing what the guitar might play. So he's got the right hand playing the melody there. To be fair, I might be in the original recording, but like in the original version. But I think he's trying to sort of be a rhythm guitar in that instance, like a middle one. Good job. Good job, Nyango Star. Oh, that's a trip. I didn't realize that was in 7/8. That's crazy drums, please. What do we got next? Good job going minimalist for that. The confidence to be able to just pause there and for everyone to know exactly what they need to do was just phenomenal. So that seems honestly like kind of restrained for the guy. Like real talk. The guy can play, like Nyango Star, should I say. And like the fact he's stuck with 16ths for the majority of their drum solo there was very respectful to what was going on with the piano. I think they were trying to sort of like have a similar sort of rhythmic consistency and not sort of overplay too much for each other to try and still keep it musical. Hey! Woo! I do kind of want to look into GX Japan's Kurenai in my own time, but I think that today we have this wonderful song, this request from Alvin K. From Jacob Colo, Japan, titled Progressive Jazz Metal Arrangement of Rondo alla Turca for piano and drums featuring Nyango Star. Now, there aren't any vocals in this. It's all about the piano and the drums. The piano line is distinctive and is very technical and is very tricky to play. And the fact that we were not only incorporating the left hand with like chords and like darker kind of rhythm parts, sort of kind of like how a rhythm guitar would sound at a drop tune part on a 7-string is impressive to be able to fit those two together. Not least, then have several different solo sections where we've already got quite a complicated track. We're further making it more elaborate by going on top of the drum patterns and go all the way up the keys and stuff like that. It's a really well played track. Pianist is clearly very experienced and very confident with their ability, and they are creative. And I think that even though they kept things relatively conservative with their improvisation and stuff like that, they nonetheless nailed it. The piano sounds dope. They it was true to the original whilst making it their own. As Shin Yuda says, Alvin K says it was a fun jamming session. It was. It was. It sounded like an actual professional track, though, as well, to be fair. Shin Yuda says the Muppet costumes would block the view. It's amazing how you can play the drums like that. It's amazing. I think that the eyes are see-through. I think that you can see through them, and that's like a one-way thing. But even so, like, it's nonetheless incredibly impressive that they can get that much movement in that outfit. It just goes to show that if they're outside of the costume, imagine how that would play. It's almost like kind of like the idea of the Dragon Ball Z, where like you get the really heavy outfits that the people in Dragon Ball Z wear in order to sort of condition themselves to be able to handle like Namek or something like that. But you're in a Nyan Star outfit. Incredible display of different sort of cymbal kick patterns there. Wonderful double kick work there, tremendously quick. And the drum solo was well phrased there, working with 16s a lot of the time there, being musical whilst not overstepping until we had some flurries of 30 seconds and we just absolutely let go. With some interesting offbeat parts as well. The simultaneous changes with the 7/8 as well was really tricky to do, but they smashed it, and ultimately it was a difficult track that they made look easy. So the studio recording. The recording of a live performance like this was absolutely wonderful. Stellar. You could clear. It was sounded like a live take in a studio room, but there were no weird resonant frequencies. It was nice and loud, and just the chemistry between musicians involved was really stellar as well. So ultimately, they had a lot of fun. The audience did too. Incredible effort. So well done. Thank you again to Alvin K for their choice here. I had a great time with this. We have one more track for today though from Shin Yuda. And this track is titled, What Have We Got? This is... Thanks for your request. What is this track? YouTube time. It is from 9M88, titled BB88. Let's do it.
嗨，大家好，我是9N88，今天为你带来的是方大同的 BB88。你现在收看的是粤人 I Cover。
That's a really high filter on the it's a really high filter on the voice. I'm not sure if I like how high that is, but it's okay.
就翻脸，我给你的爱你说不够甜，最会装酷，多么碍眼。妈妈曾经说过不要被骗，说 love oh love 爱是什么 Oh girl 你嘴边的话算什么 Love oh love 爱怎么了不不不不不爱不是萤火树 Baby 别太快 Baby 别破坏总是偷偷摸摸让我想哭，你要我吃醋，你让我愤怒，不乖乖 baby 就要说拜拜 baby bye.
There's no place to pause, right? Sometimes with some tracks there's like spaces where you can go, oh, I can talk about this now, but this is just so smooth. The groove of the drums with the guitar, bass and everything else, the keys as well as the vocals there, you don't want to stop it.
Bye bye baby bye bye baby bye bye baby bye 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 bye, baby, bye bye, baby, bye bye, baby, bye。 我走一步，被你抢先，我对你好的，你不给我面，没事没磕头，在家里做脸，也许有那一天，有谁来找你代言，说 love oh love 爱是什么 Oh girl 你嘴边的话算什么怎么了？不不不不不，爱不是萤火树 ，baby 别太坏 ，oh baby 别破坏，也总是偷偷摸摸让我想 bye bye baby bye， 有什么不妥？
Halftime?
是谁
Cool.
闯了祸？兄弟饶了我，突然间又靠着我，再一圈过来，冷战一个多礼拜，最后还是要我来猜测你的感受是我的，我的，Oh my darling
Scatting? I didn't think we'd have scatting within this. Though to be fair, it's very jazzy, right? So it kind of does make sense it would have that in here. I just think that's just a fantastic transition as like an alternate lead.
Baby 别太坏，Oh baby 别破坏，别总是偷偷摸摸让我想哭。你要我吃醋，你让我烦怒，不乖乖 baby 就要说拜拜。Baby 别太坏，Oh baby 别破坏，别总是偷偷摸摸让我想哭。你要我吃醋，你让我烦怒，不乖乖 baby 就要说拜拜。Baby bye bye baby 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 baby bye baby bye 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 bye
Oh, more vocal filter. It's cool Hammond organ he has. The guy has a really cool Hammond organ. I want it. Really great tones of the drums as well. Okay, that was cool. Is there more? Okay, we'll go back to the start just a little bit. Start. Here we go. Back here. Yeah. That was cool. I enjoyed my time with that. This was 9M88. Track with their track BB88. It means baby baby according to Shinyida. 9M8 cover of Khalil Fong's song. The lyrics are about how the boyfriend can't stand the problems of his girlfriend's capriciousness. What does capriciousness mean? Capriciousness. The quality of changing mood or behavior suddenly and unexpectedly. Oh, so it's when someone is quite, their moods change a lot. Okay, I get it. Yeah, that makes sense. Baby Bye Bye, and they just don't want to have to deal with that anymore. 9M88 also has a song with Joanna Wang. That would be cool. I wouldn't be surprised if Joanna Wang had collaborated with them. To get my thoughts on this track, BB88, I think that now I understand the story. The Bye Bye, the kind of calm swagger, the flurry of how we sort of communicate with the audience and sing that is really sweet, and it's soothing, and it's very easy to listen to. There's a lot of color within the actual vocal melodies themselves. We have great vocal technique, nice and soft and kind of fluffy there. There's no hard edges to it. We're not trying to make it too aggressive. And ultimately, we sit really nicely in the arrangement there with our own sort of sense of presence there without any issues. The track itself at 5:07 is nicely strict sequenced and structured out. It's very similar for a lot of it. Like the chord progressions or the tones of the instruments are performed relatively consistently. That's kind of a smoothness to it. I like the fact that we did switch it up with that kind of scatting interlude section there with a mixture of different sort of alternate vocal leads with the keys kind of having a bit more sort of a play around there. It was also nice at the end to have a bit more flexibility for some of the instruments to play near the end, although it was very clear in this track that the guitar, bass, drums, and even the keys were meant to be the backing for the singer, the singer being the focal point there. I don't think there's any filler. I think that the transitions were smooth. The guitar parts were the finger picked and sort of like this arpeggiated and extensions. The chords there with the seventh and stuff were very jazzy and sort of smooth and easy to listen to. They were continuous throughout there. The bass line rolling with the scale shapes and most of the roots was cool too. The drums were dope. We had a really sort of very tight there, great tone to the kit overall. But we also knew to sort of establish eighths and occasional sixteenths in a way where we didn't overshadow the singer. It was meant to keep the groove going and the pace going and to keep things tight in the rhythm section. And the keys there were a nice bit of color in the mid to high range there on the sides as well. There we sparkled and we glistened, and we did occasionally sort of like have a bit of sort of like improvisation or kind of adjustments there, maybe as a pseudo lead. But ultimately, it was still very supportive of the mains there and just kind of articulated the higher parts of those existing chord progressions on the guitars. The track, the feel of the track itself there is not meant to be sort of heavy or intense. It's more like a kind of, I'm not going to get too worked up about this. It's bye, we'll see you later, etc. That's kind of impression I got of it. And ultimately, it was a song where like, when you consider, it was really palatable. The studio recording, mixing, and mastering was tight as well. Things are nice leveled in the frequency spectrum and the stereo field. Their vocal was nice and clear without being overproduced. The track sounded like a live performance with chemistry between the members. There was dynamic range to this. Things didn't sound loud all the time, but it was also, the mix was also relatively tight. There weren't any leveling issues, and it was nice and loud without pumping. I mean, this is another really great track. Thanks to Shinyuda for their pick today. And that is basically us for today. That is the last review for today. Thank you to all of you who have come in for this fan request session, this paid request session. We did really double the lifetime. I think part of that is I didn't schedule it in advance. And I also think that we like to talk for the first bit and then we kind of get into requests. The conditions I've made for going over the hour, I'll keep those clearly because it works. And I think, to be fair, if I gave more notice, more people would potentially come in. I enjoy doing these live streams. Hopefully you guys enjoyed hanging out, or at the very least, hopefully the review that I gave of the track you requested was worthwhile. If you didn't request a track, that's fine too. You're more than welcome to hang out and listen to new music. Hopefully you guys have a great day. I'll schedule the next live streams on Discord. Try and do 8 or 9. But yeah, stay cool, shredders. I will catch you in the next live stream. And yeah, Spiderhands out.